It's strange how we pick up certain expressions. From the time I was a little kid, one of the worst forms of derision was to be called chicken. The quickest way to get a fight started was to use this name against a target of ridicule. The implication was always that a chicken was a coward or lacking in courage. Many people have never really known a chicken. I mean the feathered bird commonly found on farms. I've been fortunate to be around chickens much of my life, and have formed a close bond with several. One of the more memorable was Liza. Liza was a Japanese silky bantam. She was about half the size of the average barnyard hen, but big in her love for life, as well as her unfailing determination. Her feathers were snow white, fluffy, almost fur-like. A patch of feathers perched atop her head like a comical crown. Her dark eyes sparkled with life, and as I later realized, a great depth of chicken wisdom. One aspect of life, however, seemed to elude Liza: motherhood. She laid eggs regularly, tiny bantam eggs not much larger than marbles. But her diminutive size put her at a great disadvantage with the other chickens, and the larger hens always crowded her out of the nest before the required 21-day incubation period. As the new mothers would introduce their brood to the real world, Liza would attempt to take over the duties of mother. As a result, she took a great deal of abuse from the other chickens. I felt a compassion for Liza, sensing how desperately she wanted to experience motherhood. I attempted to help her by making a nest away from the others. Liza readily accepted it and began laying eggs. However, I soon discovered the eggs broken and contents eaten. Liza began exhibiting signs of great distress. She erratically checked empty nests, clucked in a strange, monotonous way. Realizing that something had to be done, I constructed a miniature chicken house, complete with all the amenities: food, water, and a private nest that would be the envy of any chicken's eye. Liza settled into her new home and immediately began depositing eggs in the nest at the rate of 1 a day until she had 6. She then went into the setting mode, plucking feathers from her breast to line the nest and expose her warm, moist skin to the eggs. Finally, the eggs began to hatch. The baby chicks were unbelievably small. It was difficult to count them, for they seemed to disappear almost immediately into the fluffy feathers beneath Liza's wings and breast. And never was a mother more devoted, more thrilled, or more suited to the task at hand. Liza was fairly glowing with the pride and joy of motherhood. I kept the little family in their confined space for a few days, reluctant to allow them out into the real world filled with so much danger. Liza pleaded with every motion of her body to take her new family out into the world. She paced back and forth at the door until I gave in and opened their lives to a world filled with green grass, the warm, moist earth, and more juicy bugs than most of us care to know about. True to my expectations, Liza was the ideal mother. She showed her little family the very best places to search for seeds and grain. From sunup to sundown, she was tireless in searching out the very best for her brood. I felt quite good about the perfection of it all, the absolute order in God's universe, the demonstration of life as it should be. It was during one of these moments of reflection that I was shocked into a broader understanding of our true relationship with God's creatures. As I stood one morning looking out over the field beyond our kitchen window and absently watching the scattered groups of chickens going about their routine, I saw the entire community of chickens freeze. The total population of chickens scattered across the field reacted with one mind as a blur of feathered bodies dived beneath any available cover. I knew this activity indicated the close presence of a hawk. Then something caught my eye. I saw the look of panic in Liza's dark eyes as she started to run for the overhang of the chicken house. Suddenly, the same thought struck us both.
The babies.
I vicariously lived the agonizing moment with Liza as she broke stride and turned back to the 6 tiny chicks, still pecking in the grass, oblivious in their infancy to the event happening around them. With one command from Liza, the babies instantly rushed beneath her outstretched wings. I've tried to interpret the expression I saw come over her. Was it resignation? Perhaps surrender? Or was it releasing and putting the outcome into the hands of a higher power? As I slowly and reluctantly walked toward the spot, I was impacted by the immensity of what I perceived to have happened. I had just witnessed a chicken perform a deed that would make headlines if the same act had been performed by a human. Liza had overcome the so-called survival instinct and with precision of forethought offered her life for another. The phrase entered my mind, "No greater love." Here was a creature that many educated and philosophic people had declared not only to have no soul, but to be without the capability of thinking or reasoning. Yet Liza had performed the supreme, heroic, and selfless act. I stood looking down at the pile of feathers in the grass and weeds. As I touched the mound of feathers, a startling and unexpected thing happened. Apparently misjudging the depth and thickness of her coat, the hawk had missed. As I watched Liza and her chicks calmly continue with their routine of the day, I realized that I could never think of a chicken in the same way again. Not everyone will have such a dramatic decision as Liza. But at some point in our lives, we will all have an encounter with our hawk, and we will each have a choice about how we face that hawk. I believe that I was set an example, and I hope to confront any situation with the grace, dignity, and confidence in God that I witnessed in Liza. I know now that I would be honored to be called Chicken.